The song of the Korean people's faith to follow Kim Jong-il to the end resounds. No imperialist forces in the world will provoke Korea, whose army and people are ready to defend their leader Kim Jong-il united single-heartedly.
To understand why North Korea is the way that it is, you need to know the history of North Korea. Korea was once one unified kingdom until it was conquered by the fascist Japanese Empire prior to World War II. The Japanese conducted a genocide of the Korean people. For instance, during Japan's occupation, 1910 to 1945, at least 200,000 Korean women were forced into sexual slavery as comfort women, and thousands were massacred during uprisings such as the March 1st movement. Japan would commit horrific acts of violence against the Koreans. Korea under Japanese occupation was marked by suffering and persecution. Koreans were banned from speaking their language, given Japanese names, and forced into hard labor. An estimated 670,000 Koreans were taken to Japan to work in brutal conditions during World War II. After World War II, Korea was divided in two by the United States. The Korean people weren't entitled to self-determination. They were forced into a fascist puppet state. The 38th parallel, an arbitrary line, was chosen by US officials with little knowledge of Korean geography or politics. The Korean War broke out quickly afterward. The communists pushed the American-controlled regime down to the southeast. In 1950, North Korean forces, backed by Soviet tanks and Chinese military advisors, captured Seoul within 3 days. With an immense amount of American and NATO support, South Korea was able to push back North Korea. Well, north. The Americans relentlessly bombed the Koreans. Millions died. According to US Air Force General Curtis LeMay, American bombing campaigns killed 20% of the North Korean population and destroyed 80% of buildings in the north. Over 635,000 tons of bombs were dropped, more than during the entire Pacific campaign of World War II. Just like under Japanese occupation, millions died at the hands of imperialism. Douglas MacArthur, an important figure in American military, suggested nuking North Korea into irradiated ruins. This request was denied, but still, he even proposed dropping over 30 atomic bombs along the Yalu River. Korea, already ravaged by Japan, was again ravaged by the US. After the Korean War, Korea was divided into its modern-day borders, nearly identical to the partition borders. The war achieved nothing but killing innocent Koreans. Civilian deaths are estimated between 2 to 3 million, with North Korea suffering the majority. North Korea is constantly threatened by the US. That's why it has to militarize and have nukes. The US has tens of thousands of troops stationed in South Korea and Japan, and regularly conducts joint military drills near North Korea's borders, drills that simulate the invasion or decapitation of the regime. In the West, we only hear about North Korea's nuclear tests and threats to the West. What it leaves out is how America threatens North Korea and makes propaganda against North Korea. For example, President George W. Bush labeled North Korea part of the axis of evil in 2002.
When President Bush went before the Congress in 2002, he defined the axis of evil, meaning Iran, Iraq, and North Korea.
States like these and their terrorist allies constitute an axis of evil, arming to threaten the peace of the world.
Axis was such a loaded word, however, because the Axis powers in World War II had been Italy and Germany and Japan. The idea that the world was now divided into Axis powers and Allied powers seemed to suggest a war coming on, which indeed was the truth.
It is both our responsibility and our privilege to fight freedom's fight.
Hostile sanctions as a form of collective punishment These sanctions even banned critical medical equipment, causing immense harm to the North Korean people for the crime of living under a government deemed evil by genocidal pedophiles. The countless articles warmongering against North Korea should also make you question, who is the aggressor? America wants to dispose of the North Korean government, and a lot of liberals in the West support the idea, because they only hear about how North Korea threatens the West. They don't know that North Korea is under the same, if not greater, threat by the US. And for a country that was twice devastated by foreign powers within one generation, its distrust of Western intentions is not only rational, but the North's only option. Thank you for watching. До свидания.